Hey everyone, today we're painting a watermelon using just two colors. If you're new to my channel, my name is Londa. I am a former classroom teacher turned small business owner. I teach art classes for adults in the Bay Area, and I also create really fun and cute watercolor kits that you can take basically anywhere. Today we're painting a watermelon with just two colors. We are going to use Alizarin Crimson and Hooker's Green. So you're going to need some water, your paintbrush, pencil, because we're going to draw this, and it's pretty simple. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that you're going to do is you're going to put, we got to tape this bad boy down. So let's go ahead and do that first. I'm really jumping ahead. I'm just using some cute washi tape. You don't have to do this, but I think it's better. Especially when you're using watercolor, it's always good to tape something down. Okay, now let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that you're going to do is draw a pyramid with a rounded top. Okay, that looks pretty good, pretty simple. You want to draw really lightly since this is watercolor, and there's some areas that we're going to keep white. Now I'm going to create a curved line at the base, connecting my triangle lines. And now I'm going to create a parallel line to this line right here on the right hand side. This is going to give it a little dimension. It's a real watermelon slice. Now I'm going to connect these two lines, and I'm going to make another parallel line down here just to make it look like that rind is real. Done. There's our watermelon. Now we can go ahead and get started. The first thing that you're going to do is use the wet into wet technique for the top of the watermelon. It's going to give it a nice soft gradient look. So I'm going to dip just the tip of my brush in the water. I don't need a lot for this small project. Okay, and I'm going to wet the top of that about, I would say maybe the top, just the top half. And I'm also going to grab a swatch so I want to show you the color that I'm mixing up before I apply it. So like I said before, this is Alizarin Crimson. This is about the consistency I want to start out with. And I'm going to drop that paint right in the top. Even on that right hand side. Don't even worry about it being the exact same color, because I'm going to show you what we're going to do with that later. If it gets too dark too fast, you just push that color back up to the top, because we want the top to be really dark and we want it to fade out as it gets closer to the green part of the watermelon. So I'm going to drop a little bit more in. Now I'm going to wash this brush out, dab off my brush, and I'm going to fan this out. So I had stopped about halfway with the water, but you're going to see as I pull that pink, that Alizarin Crimson down, it's going to create a really nice gradient. And now that I see that it's getting kind of light, I'm going to add a little bit more to the top while the surface is wet. My bracelets, so if you're hearing that little clanging, got these little bracelets, they're just making little sounds, so I apologize for the extra sounds. Okay, that looks pretty good. It's pretty warm in here, so my paper's drying fairly quickly, but you want to make sure that you do this while the surface is wet. Great. Okay, looks pretty good. We can always intensify that later. I'm going to leave it right now while I prep my green for the bottom of our watermelon slice. I'm using Hooker's Green, and just to show you the consistency that I'm going to add for that, it's very bright. Now in a little bit, when we create shadows for our watermelon slice, we're going to take that green and actually mix it into our Alizarin Crimson, because it makes a really nice dark and dull green. You can always add more green if it looks too diluted, not so concentrated, or it's just not green enough. Okay, do you see all these different shades that I can make? Just with two colors. So complementary colors usually are good mixes if you're creating shadows, any kind of realistic shadow. Okay, so our watermelon is basically dry. I'm going to wet the bottom just like I did the top, just in that green sliver, maybe, and a little bit above my line. That looks okay. Don't want a ton of water for this. You want to have that nice satin wetness look. Now I'm going to take just a little bit of that Hooker's green, just so you want to be able to see through it. I'm going to apply it to the base, and if it doesn't start to kind of fan out like the top did, then you're going to get a little water and help it along. My studio today is fairly warm, so it's not fanning out as much as it typically does, but that's okay. There we go. You just want a hint of green because that's how watermelons look. Now that this is all wet and kind of fanned out the way that I like it, I'm going to intensify the bottom because you want that also to be a gradient. Just adding more of that Hooker's green. And I'm going to add it right to our lines because we want to start creating a more realistic look. And I'm going to add a little bit of that Alizarin Crimson because now I want to make a darker green. So I added just a touch of that Alizarin Crimson just to make it a little bit darker. That might be too dark. That's okay. I'm not going to add it across the whole entire thing, just a little bit, and then I'm going to fan that out with a damp brush because I don't want it to look too cartoony or illustrative. It's okay if it's a little bit, but I'm not going for full-on outlines. But you definitely could. That would look nice. Okay, just softening that up just a touch. Okay, that's pretty good. I'm going to leave it. Now I want to teach you how to make black using these two colors. So I already have that really dark green where I've mixed the two complementary colors together. I'm going to add more red. So the trick to making black with these two colors is the amount of paint that you have that you're mixing together, because it's going to make it more concentrated and just naturally more dark or darker. And then the other is making sure it doesn't lean one way or the other. And what I mean by that is the color I just mixed up leaned a little bit more pink or red, and now it's closer to black. If I added more green, then it would probably shift to green. But if you look at this, and you're not going to get it much darker than that, that's brownish black. That's how we're going to make our black to make our seeds. Okay, so just wanted to show you how to do that. Now, before you add your seeds, this is the last opportunity to darken up any parts of the watermelon. So I'm going to do that really quickly. Since the surface is dry, I'm going to add a little bit more to the top. And to the top right, because what we're trying to do is create a shadow over here. So I'm just applying a little bit to that top half, just like I did before. And then with I'm washing on my brush, getting almost all the moisture off, and then I'm going to hurry up while this paint is still wet and drag that out because we still want it to look soft and we don't want any cauliflowering. And if I left it there for too long, then it's definitely going to get some of that cauliflowering. Okay, that looks decent. Now we can add our seeds. I'm going to go back and re-wet the color that I just made. I'm just mixing this on some swatches just to save space, but you can use your palette or palette paper or anything like that to mix your colors. It is nice though to see how it's going to perform on the paper. So if you're ever unsure, just test it out on a swatch. Okay, now the trick to this is going to be a hard part because this is a small space that we're working in, is to roll your brush. Make sure you got to have some moisture to it because we're basically going to drop our color in with a vertical brush. Okay, so I'm not going to use my brush at an angle like I typically would for painting. I'm going to bring it back totally vertically. Okay, if it helps, you can go ahead and just draw some little seeds on there. You don't have to just freehand this. I always recommend doing odd numbers of things because it's just what our brains like. There we go. Okay, now let's just paint that. You're gonna see it looks black. I haven't done any magic here. This is just those two colors. Pretty cool. That's it. Maybe I need just a hint of one over here. Now, if it's, typically I will fiddle. I'm a fiddler when it comes to painting, but you could just, I would just leave this, you know. Sometimes the more you fiddle with a painting with watercolor, the worse it actually gets. So it's best to, when things are good, leave it, you know. All right. Now, the last thing I just want to show you is what you can do with this when you're all done. So get some string. I have just some little twine here, scissors, and I'm just going to show you how you can quickly turn this into a little card. So I'm going to take that off. And if you wanted to, let's find something round to trace. Okay, that's not big enough. Let's see. That's hollow. I'll do that. That won't mess that up. Now your greeting card does, or not greeting card, but gift tag. Just make a cute little gift tag out of this. So anytime that you make something, even if you're just practicing, you don't have to just toss it. So you can turn it into basically anything. And now let's add a little top to it so that when I punch a hole, it looks good. I don't even need that though. Okay. Now let's cut it out. Now, you don't want to do this unless you know that your painting is totally dry. I am not going to wait that long because I'm impatient. But you should before you cut it out, because if you touch it while it's wet, it'll get all messed up. Oh my goodness, that's freaking cute. Now I'm gonna get my hole puncher here. Make sure I actually get it in the middle. Those are the little guides if you have one of these. Oh, done. You can erase any pencil lines. That's cute. Maybe you could write a little, "You're one in a melon." I've seen that. Or just leave it. Okay, so the trick to these, you just tie it on one side with a loop. Put the loop through. Open the loop. Don't pull it all the way through. And then take your knot and pull it through the loop. There you go. A gift tag. You can turn all of your little drawings into a million gift tags, and then you never have to buy one ever again. See, look at this. To and from. Hope you had a ton of fun. Definitely subscribe and follow along so you can see what we paint next. Have a great day.